You know why I'm here. Let's not waste any time. Let's light it up. I'm John Renton with my review WWE Smackdown from the formerly Rosemont Horizon, now the All-State Arena in Rosemont/Chicago, Illinois. AJ Lee is back after 10.5 years away from WWE. Her last match was WrestleMania 31. Ever since then, she has worked on some projects. She's done what she's wanted to do. And now, for what I assume is also a boatload of cash, she is back to work with her husband. Maybe for just this particular event coming up, WrestlePalooza. Maybe for a Rumble appearance. Maybe for a WrestleMania appearance. And you know what? It couldn't have happened to a more deserving woman. With the shit she had to deal with, especially from John Laurinaitis, who said, nobody will ever pay to, see you because nobody will be attracted to you. Something to that effect. I don't exactly remember because I try not to remember anything that John Laurinaitis said. Mr. Excitement, people power. And now he's having to turn over a new queef, and he's having to basically be a spineless dweeb because he boxed himself in by participating with Vince McMahon and a whole bunch of just shit that's a whole nother video. The whole thing is the only reason I reviewed this particular show is AJ Lee's return. I watched this on demand because I was watching Lurker. That's right after watching Twinless a few hours before, and I've been busy on my days off. Not so much for goddamn days off, really, besides getting to watch a few movies. It's been a lot of goddamn shit. Again, let's not waste any time after I've wasted nearly 2 minutes of this particular video. Michael Cole and Corey Graves are the commentary team for Smackdown for some reason. Joe Tessitore, I assume, is going to Raw. I hope he's going to Raw. God forbid if Pat McAfee's going back to Raw. So, Clash recaps. Punk gets a huge pop when he arrives. Fan reactions. Legit fan reactions. Look, I understand content creators having fun. You want to do live streams, you want to have fun, that's great. There are some people I know that do legit live reactions. They're like, oh shit, oh cool, whatever. And they don't just play for the camera, they literally are fans. A lot of ones I'm seeing the WWE wants to feature, they're caricatures. I'm sorry. So anyway, John Cena comes out for the final time on Smackdown. He debuted on the main roster in Chicago, got to slap Kurt Angle, got to do all this. Thank you, Cena. He got to face off against Triple H at WrestleMania 22. CM Punk took the WWE title home and put it in his fridge. A whole bunch of stuff. I'm skipping over a lot of this because it was great. It's a segment you guys need to check out. You basically will chant the names of people that aren't even here. You bring people back. You know who I'm talking about. AJ Lee chants. He's talking about all the accolades, all the shit that he did, and there we go. It's a good promo, a nice send-off because Cena knows it's the end. And honestly, it has been a long time coming. I don't mean with this retirement tour. Everybody has a shelf life. Cena knows he can't go anymore, and he's doing this last year. He's making these appearances matter. Yeah, his heel run starting off wasn't the worst thing. Unfortunately, then we had Travis Scott and a whole bunch of bullshit in The Rock not getting involved because he had to slim down and then promote the Smashing Machine, which we'll see how that comes, to pass in just under a month. Yes, I will be watching that in theaters against my better judgment. But, how all this stuff has happened. Thank you, Cena, again. And he thanked him for the beautiful ride. And then suddenly Sammy music. And oh no, Sammy's getting booed heavily. My God. Are you against the Palestinian flag being on his pants? I hope not. If you are, free Palestine's all I gotta say. The Palestinian people deserve peace. It's fucking ridiculous. So, Sammy got booed heavily, and Cena said, it's happy hour, I'm here for the booze. But Sammy basically says, I made my debut on the main roster against you in the U.S. Open Challenge. I want to take the mantle and have a U.S. Open Challenge to give young up-and-comers and underutilized talents a chance. Cena says, that's a great idea. Oh, and by the way, Cena, I want to face you in your final Smackdown appearance tonight. So there we go. They had their match. And the crowd was everything that you would want as far as like popping and everything. They were popping for big moves. There were a couple breaks during this. Because of how long that segment went, they had to really get their breaks and their advertising dollars in. We got an AA for 2. We got a haluva kick that got stopped. We got an angle slam. We got, another break. We got, the haluva kick hits, but just for 2. A GTS by Cena. A spear by Cena. And a super AA briefly got stopped, but then he hit it. No cover. Cena kept talking very loudly. You could almost make out what he was saying, but you could definitely tell he was almost shouting. And they're rocking and rolling. And then suddenly Bork music hits. Oh boy. Bork, who is taking the piss, literally. Allegedly, reportedly. Just covering my ass here. He has his cowboy hat. He has pyro. Hits an F5 on Sammy. 2 on Cena, and leaves. I stand by what I said about Brock coming back. I don't think that him coming back, whether he was involved in this thing or not, is really a good idea because he's almost 50. I don't care if he's in great shape. He doesn't really need to be there anymore. That's just it. Nevertheless, he leaves, and then we cut backstage where Cena, is still laid out, where in the ring, and Brock says, "Hey, Cena, I'll see you at WrestlePalooza, bitch." So Becky arrives, interrupting all this talking to Miz and Mello, and Aleister Black pre-tape where he basically says to Priest, "You are who you are because you follow the rules. I am who I am because I follow the rules until I don't." I'm starting to think that maybe him having say over what he did in WWE wasn't a great idea. So, or in AEW, that is. Probably not the best idea. He looks great. He attacked Priest. Priest then, comes back from the beatdown. They have their match. That is what it is, but I don't really care about Priest, and I'm sorry. I don't care about Aleister Malachi Black. I don't. Nothing against the person, but just, good God. We got a Razor's Edge on the table later. It didn't break. I am the table. The referee got grabbed by Aleister. Apparently that's not a DQ. And then a Black Mass 1, 2, 3. And then an Orton and Drew package sponsored by Twisted Tea. I felt like drinking while watching this. So, Kathy is in with Tiffany. It's all in black for some reason. She's going to be facing Jade next week. And then Jade is backstage looking angry. And that's probably because she knew she had to talk to Nia Jax. I'd be angry if I was even within the same zip code as her. So then Julia with Kiana James. I thought I might like the pairing when it first happened. And I've seen enough to know this isn't working at all. Julia is just another person. Taking out Mia Yim. Meepchin, as it were. The crowd died. The crowd absolutely died. This was for the women's U.S. title. And the crowd didn't give a shit. Kiana tried to get involved and then basically got laid out, caught in the ropes. And Arrivederci, or as Bobby Heenan would call it, Arrivederci, because that's just what Bobby Heenan would say, 1, 2, 3. So, no offense against either woman. Julia looks great. She looks like a star. Mia Yim has worked hard. And this is probably the best age that she's looked in the ring, and the best, that she's, the most momentum she's had behind her during either WWE run, but I just don't care. So, last week, basically, Chelsea and the Secret Service laid out Charlotte, who came out limping. And then Charlotte is like, why do bad things happen to me? Why doesn't anything good happen to me? She's fake crying. It's just ridiculous. And Alexa Bliss shows up. With Lily. Dr. Lily will see you now. And that's where I just wanted to say, bless the people that want to buy these dolls. That's great. If you like this stuff, fine. This isn't fucking wrestling. This isn't helping anybody. So, Seth is in the crowd in a skybox. Sing along, all that. He talks a bit, introduces Becky. Becky comes down. Massive AJ Lee chants. And then, how dare you? And she just runs down all the sports teams, and she keeps doing this. She has to shout, let it all out, because these people are not letting her have a word without chanting for AJ Lee. Come on, it is insane. This crowd was rabid. If they hadn't brought AJ Lee back, this crowd might have legit burned the arena to the ground. We might have just seen smoking luau cinders just right there. It would have been just insane. So, all the sports teams suck. They all suck. They're a bunch of suckiest sucks that ever sucked. Oh, wait, her wiener kid's backstage. If you don't get that reference, you're probably too young to watch this. So, Punk gets a big pop. And he says, your coward husband's hiding up there in a skybox. Becky, this has nothing to do with you. Basically implying you keep poking the bear. Then this is going to end very badly for you. And Becky is like, trying to cut off the AJ Lee chance. Like, no, you're going to let them cheer for AJ Lee. You're going to let them chant for AJ Lee. You're going to let them basically speak AJ Lee into existence. Because that's what the fans fucking did. Again, besides a shit pot full of money. And then basically Punk says, I got shooters here. It is Chicago. I could have one of my sisters slap you. And there was only one sister in the shot, but I know he's got a couple. And I could call upon Rhea, or I could call upon Bayley. I could call upon the Eradicator, Rhea Ripley. But they're not there. Now, mind you, they didn't necessarily get booed. But the crowd, again, they were just waiting. They were waiting. You could feel it. The floor was shaking with anticipation. They were quivering with excitement, being tickled right anyway. And then Becky slaps him, paintbrush him, and didn't really slap him. I mean, didn't make it look bad, but just kept doing this. Bowed up to him, and then Punk got out, and she's like, oh, how much of a coward or whatever, like this kind of stuff that he is. And Punk says, people who know me know I'll never slap a woman. Fortunately, I know someone who will. AJ Lee's music hits, and the place blew the fuck up. It blew sky high. I don't even think there's a roof left on the Rosemont Horizon. It's just an open-air arena now. That was an absolutely insane pop, especially for the fact that everybody and their mother and their mother's mother and their smother's brother and their smother's brother's mother knew that AJ Lee was going to come back. It was pretty much telegraphed. Beep, 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 beep. And you know what? It didn't matter. They milked the fuck out of that theme. AJ looks great. She looks like she's lived in the gym. Not that she looked bad before, but she looks like she's kept herself in great shape. She's only 38. And I know I say only to think she was born in 87. I knew she was a few years younger than me. I didn't realize it was that much younger. And it means her and Punk have a 9-year age difference. I digress. But AJ was just doing the crazy chick thing. Wearing the shorts, wearing the crop top, wearing that. She just was rocking it and looking great and having a blast. She was truly happy to be back on WWE TV for, again, a shit pot full of money. And I don't blame her. She fucking deserves it. But she didn't have to deal with Vince, at least until Vince probably shows up at Cena's retirement. Bet you it'll happen. Bet you it'll happen. I may watch Cena's retirement, the Saturday Night's Main Event, but oh boy. But AJ was just, that crowd did not sit down. That crowd's energy did not fall. It just kept going and going and going. And Punk was happy to see her just sitting there. Look at my wife being all happy. And it had to be a thrill for them. And it had to be a thrill for Becky also, because Becky never got a chance to work with AJ Lee. AJ may have appeared a couple times in NXT and maybe crossed paths with Becky. I don't know. But there's holy shit chance that they're getting bleeped. And then AJ attacks Becky with a couple spears and some mounted punches and stuff like that. The biggest thing is they're going to have to smoke and mirrors this thing, because AJ Lee has not been competitive in the ring for 10.5 years. They're probably going to have to work at the mixed tag with Ronda Rousey and Stephanie McMahon, where they keep the spots brief and stuff like that. But I'm sure AJ has been working hard. And I'm sure that her and Becky are going to work really hard to make sure they make this thing work. And yeah, it's going to be on WrestlePalooza. I ain't going to be fucking watching WrestlePalooza. I'm not paying 30 fucking bucks a month for ESPN, in addition to paying for the AEW pay-per-views, at least for the rest of this year. But what a hell of a moment. I'm glad I reviewed it, and I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad I saw AJ Lee's return. Big deal. Now I go back on my hiatus of reviewing WWE programming, at least occasional hiatus. I'll pop up here and there to review stuff. Maybe I'll review Survivor Series, guys. But I had to review AJ Lee's return. It's a big fucking deal. I'm glad for her. I'm happy for her. Fucking thrilled. I can't wait to see how, what her and Punk are able to do in this mixed tag as far as seeing highlights and stuff like that. That's going to be cool to see. Electric atmosphere in Chicago. Chicago is one of the few wrestling cities where you're guaranteed to have a mega pop of a goddamn, and just basically a big old energy surge. So, that being said, that's it. That's really the only reason I reviewed it. Like, the Cena stuff was cool, and stuff with Sammy was fine, Bork, whatever, and then it just had a lull until we had AJ Lee return. But that molten atmosphere, that molten hot crowd, that's what basically sold this show. So welcome back, AJ Lee, and certainly a return that many people were expecting, and everybody appreciated. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rittland, and I'm closing with this. Tell the people that you care about that you love them and that you appreciate them, because you never know when they need to hear it. You never fucking know. See you soon.